What simple things have you done to surprise someone you love? Here's mine. My ex-girlfriend freaking loves penguins. So I arranged for us to go feed them at the local zoo for our anniversary. I was all like, hey honey, we're going to the zoo to see the animals for our anniversary. And she had a face like, oh well that's cool I guess. Then bam, penguin feeding time backstage. It worked out amazing. She was happier than I had ever seen her. Bro, I would be incredibly pumped for that. Kudos my internet comrade. On a much simpler note, on cold nights while my wife is in the bathroom, getting ready for bed, I climb into her side of the bed and warm it up. When she comes out, I'll be on my side so she has no idea until she gets in. Unlike some heathens, I do not leave a fart bomb. They are stored up so she can appreciate both the acoustics and aroma of my intestinal efforts. I know this sounds crazy, but every night without fail, I wake up around 2 or 3 in the morning to pee. When I scuttle back to bed, my boyfriend wraps his arms around me until I warm up enough to stop shivering. Sweetest thing ever. My dad is the king of the random thoughtful gesture. He is really reserved emotionally and doesn't talk about feelings or open up, but he shows you how much he loves you by doing the nicest, most random things. I will be over at their house for dinner and he will randomly disappear for an hour. Later as I am leaving he will casually mention that he took my car out and changed the oil and filled up the gas tank or took it up and got it washed. He is the model of what I want to be in terms of showing people how I love them. I'm the same as your dad. Make sure he knows how much you appreciate it. Turning the heat on in their car before they go get in it. Sometimes if I get lucky with the dew I can draw a heart on the outside of the window. Everyone is in cold climates apparently. I'm sitting here in bed sweating. When I was dating a girl in college she had a terrible day at work. When she got off at about 8 PM I met her at her car with a blanket and hot chocolate. We went to a large grassy area on campus and cuddled and drank hot chocolate for about an hour. Then out of nowhere the automatic sprinklers came on and we got soaked. This turned into an impromptu sprinkler wrestling match and ended up being more fun than I had planned. Girlfriend was thankful. Girlfriend is now wife. This gave me the warm fuzzies. I was dating a girl for a while and head over heels for her. I love sailing and we had some of our best dates out on the water. She had to move away with little notice, and I was out of town for her last few days in the city. She stayed at my place while I was gone and she had already turned in the keys to her apartment. When I returned she had put up on my wall a large nautical map with all the sea approaches to NY, the city she moved to. I still can't look at it without feeling a huge punch right in the feels. When I was about 6-7 years old I gave my mum a piece of paper with a golden star on it with mum scrawled next to it, with an arrow point to the star. She still has that piece of paper pinned to the wall in the kitchen. I'm 23 now. I like leaving cute little notes or pictures in their wallet or car visor. This is why we need Polaroids again. My wife is impossible to surprise, and so I have given up trying. She has OCD and knows exactly where everything is in our house at all times. Here's an example. When we were in college I decided to get surround sound speakers for our apartment for our dating anniversary. Since I knew she wanted that, I had a friend install the speakers while we were at work. We happened to get home at the same time, and while we were in the parking lot she said someone was in our apartment. I asked her why she thought that and she said the curtains were in a different position. I told her I came home for lunch and she calmed down. But then as soon as we walked in she said someone was in our apartment and it wasn't you. I asked why and she said a door was open that neither of us ever leave open. I tried to calm her down but she was starting to have a panic attack when I finally just yelled, I'm trying to surprise you with an anniversary gift. You crazy person. Other attempts failed similarly but that one sticks out. TLDR, can't surprise my wife because she's the goddamn Batman. I put together a Christmas tree, lights and all, and left it on my then GF's front porch, with a timer so it would be lit when she got home. This is adorable. I love Christmas decorations, so if this appeared on my doorstep I'd probably be the happiest girl in the world. Told the girlfriend to come for a drive with me to the next town. Turned down a driveway and she's asking whose house it was. Then bam, new fucking kangaroo petting farm. I normally never spew mushy stuff like this publicly, but for a while my boyfriend and I were long distance. It was awful, and one day I was having a particularly terrible day at the restaurant I worked at in New York. He was texting me as though he was still in Chicago throughout the entire day. I was under the impression that I wasn't going to see him for several more weeks. As I was closing up the restaurant that night, I heard the door open and I raised my head to sass whoever was coming in with a nice stern "We're closed," and it was him standing in the door with a box of macaroons, which are my favorite thing on earth. I turned to a big old pile of goo. We're both now living in the same city, but he still finds ways to surprise me. I'm a lucky gal. As someone who's dealing with long distance right now, I really wish I could do this for my girlfriend. The best surprise I got from my boyfriend was when he was, or at least, I thought he was, away for workup training before deploying to Afghanistan. I knew he was coming home sometime that month, but I figured it was going to be towards the middle of the month. One night early in the month I was doing some work on a paper for school and he was texting me. He told me he was just walking around and that it was raining, and I told him it was raining where I was too. Then he said, "Want to hear something amazing?" and I said sure, and next thing I knew the doorbell of my house rang and I ran down the stairs screaming. It was probably the best surprise of my life. Okay, I know that wasn't something I've done, but oh well, it was pretty cute. I guess I should also mention that he did indeed come home from Afghanistan safely. That time, though, I knew the date and met him at the airport. Dang onions, this is adorable. Try to learn something your loved one knows you're notoriously bad at. I was notoriously bad at cooking. I'm still only slightly better than college student level, but I'm getting better. And a failed attempt at getting me to make pancakes resulted in a very patient and amused so and a bunch of flat bits and a cook glob that could be called pancake in some alternate universe. Fast forward a month. I get up early on Sundays while I know my so typically sleeps in. During this month, I'd be up early trying to create good pancakes and had finally gotten decent at them. On this day, I waited till I knew my so would be semi-waking up. She smelled the familiar waft of pancake batter and woke up to breakfast in bed, along with near-perfect pancakes. Pleasant surprises like that are great food for a relationship, and they require effort, just like anything else. It might not be simple in an overall sense, but as far as work on my part versus appreciation, it wasn't that hard at all. A few years ago, my then girlfriend was planning a trip abroad to Spain from the US, but was exceedingly worried about it due to her strong feelings of homesickness. She simply didn't want to be away from me or her family for a month and a half with limited connectivity. She wasn't sure she'd even have internet phone access to talk to anyone in the States. To top it off, she'd be gone for our 4-year anniversary, and I usually like to make a big spectacle of things like that, so it just added to her worry. I urged her to go, however, since I knew it would be good for her. So, I decided to get creative and find a way to make her feel more at home, away from home. I took a few hours each day for a week and made a series of entertaining videos. No, not that kind. Each one lasted anywhere from 3-5 minutes and featured me doing something simple. I told stories for some. I invited her to do a silly dance, while I embarrassingly danced robot style in an empty room to record the video, and even had a few horribly done stand-up routines. The point was I could say good morning each day and entertain her in some way. The night before she left, I uploaded them onto her computer and left a large sticky note on her desktop. I included a Word doc in the folder with the videos and explained that she should watch one a day, in the morning, for each morning she was in Spain. I believe there were 50 videos in total. The idea worked perfectly. We weren't able to speak that much while she was gone, but when she came back, she said she didn't miss home since it felt like she never left to begin with. It didn't take long, but it made her trip that much better. TLDR. Made a series of daily entertaining videos for my girlfriend, who was out of the country for a month and a half. It's very much the opposite. We're getting married in July. I meant by then girlfriend that she's now my fiance. I did something similar, though you definitely one-upped me. Mine was a DVD from various family events so that she could see how everyone was doing. I encouraged people to leave her short video messages and stuff. I labeled it a homesickness first aid kit. My husband and I just moved to a new state far from family for work and we are both bummed about it. His birthday came up and he was super bummed because we couldn't afford much, didn't know anyone to celebrate with, and didn't know the area well enough to do something. So to make him happy on a budget I got some birthday cake he likes. Put Lego Lord of the Rings characters on it. He's obsessed and always joked he wanted a LOTR cake for his day, and made a blanket fort in the living room with our king-size mattress. Also hung up streamers, some LED rope lights, had some wine and put on his favorite show and lingerie. He was a happy camper and our budget was happy. Quality wifing right there. 10/10. Would marry. It's important to state that I'm a guy. Last week, my GF posted a link on Facebook of a cute dress she found online. The price was about $15 including shipping, but she couldn't afford it as she's putting all her time into college, so she doesn't have time to work. I left a comment saying you can't buy that one, to which she replied why? It's already out of stock, AWW, and I wanted to save for it. Then I replied because I already bought it, and we look ridiculous wearing the same outfit. Seconds later I get a call. She thanks me 100 times, but I kept playing the game and said things like I can't wait to wear it, the color will go well with my eyes. It's fun teasing her like that. I have a bad habit of randomly buying things for my guy, just because I know he likes it. Whether it be video games or his favorite fruit, I'll just buy it and toss it at him when I get home. When I came home to find my girlfriend hanging out with my dog practicing playing Donkey Kong Country Returns so she would be better at playing with me. It's not super romantic but I do my fella's laundry, wash it, dry it, fold it. You are a goddess. Do not be fooled by those who would call you lesser things. Whenever I go on business trips I try and bring some trinket back for her. This time I couldn't find anything so she had to settle for roses. Dang, I'd love to settle for roses. I left work early and hid in my wife's trunk for half an hour as she drove around doing errands thinking I was still at work. I sent her a text message saying I left a surprise for her in her trunk that morning. At her next stop she checked the trunk, at which point I screamed while grabbing at her. Plot twist, she picks up her other boyfriend and before they commence the dirty deeds, she discusses how creepy you are. You hear this, and realizing how creepy it is to hide in one's trunk you stay there until she gets home, but on the way home someone rear-ends her. You die. She lives a life full of guilt and self-loathing. Me and my ex were in a long-distance relationship for about 3.5 years. I would constantly come home and surprise her because she was going through a lot with her family and I love seeing her smile. One time that I will always remember was when she said she was studying at the library and was super stressed out for finals. I came home and went into the library, which was hard to find because I had never been to her school, and there she was. She looked so beautiful sitting there typing away at one of the computers. I sat directly across from her at another and pretended like I didn't see her. She gasped when she saw me and started crying. I looked up and said, "Oh, you come here too." She came over behind me, wrapped her arms around me and gave me a big kiss on the cheek, whispering, "I love you so much." She is the one that got away. Oh no, dude, go after her. Not really a surprise, but when she's feeling depressed and useless, I pretend I need her help with some task I'm working on. She knows I'm pretending, but appreciates it anyways. Bromance alert. A really good friend of mine and I were sitting around one day playing NES. We were just talking, and for one reason or another, the topic of gift giving came up. He mentioned that he was bummed that he is always the one who does really special things for people, and that nobody really does anything extravagant for him. Well, with the both of us being old video game junkies, and with his birthday being a week away, I went home that night and bought a Super Nintendo and some games online. I knew he had a SNES growing up, but it ended up breaking, so this was perfect. I figured that I had just enough days for it to arrive for me to gift it to him. I ended up getting a bunch of friends to pitch in for it, so I was only out about $20 at the cost of some other people's names on the card. When we gave him the gift, he almost cried. He said the words, "This is the nicest thing anyone has ever done for me. Best feeling ever." We played so much Super Nintendo that day, and it rocked. A friend of mine used to work at a winery. Very few people came through, so she had very little to do. I used to show up and keep her company, sometimes for hours. She fed me free wine. Upon leaving the city of my alma mater, I bought a different from above. Girl, I had a thing for a book as a parting present. I was nervous about giving it to her until she gave me a mix CD. I was about to have a lengthier road trip. As a goodbye present, I added a little note in the book explaining how much I thought of her, as eloquently as I could. Ended with, I only hope that our paths should cross again. I sent her surprise flowers on her birthday nearly a year later. She called me thanking me through tears, because no one's ever done anything like that for her. This was well over a year ago. We still keep in touch pretty regularly. She has moved twice since, all over the country. She hasn't read the book yet, to my knowledge, but she takes it with her every time she moves. Dang, I miss both of those ladies. My ex was playing in the waves at 32 BTW, and after one went out, he jumped around and made a heart in the sand. I took a picture because he was so cute just standing there in a giant sand heart. We broke up years ago, but we both still agree it's the most romantic picture ever. At least he nailed the temporary nature of the relationship. He was going to see his favorite band with a friend, but the friend cancelled, so he had to go by himself. I was sneaky and got a ticket to the show and surprised him there. I sort of haven't told him how I feel yet, but I think it has been implied a while now. So, this is what you'll need. Balloons, small pieces of paper, a needle, string, optional. I did this as part of a larger present for her birthday last year. First you take your pieces of paper and write all kinds of sweet stuff on them, what you love about her, etc. Then you take your pieces and you put them inside your balloons and you start inflating them. When all is done, you scatter them all over the place. You can even hang some on your ceiling with the string, and you give her the needle and tell her to go wild with it. I even had a special balloon kept aside with a ring in it for her to pop last. It doesn't take much time and she loved every minute of it. My GF has been a dancer since age 4 and her dad never ever came to any of her performances. He is a very selfish person with everything and kind of a dong. In HS she continued to dance and her BF at the time never ever went to one either. Being she had daddy issues, she dated a scumbag loser in HS. Her mom always was there, but once my GF got to the age where she could drive, her mom would always be at work and my GF would be alone. We met in college and she was in her last year of dance. She would always talk about how she wished her dad was there and how people would buy flowers for their daughters and stuff after shows, but she never got any. Well, on her last day of dance ever, she had 2 shows. The first which her mom and I went to see, and the second which no one could make it to. So her very last dance ever, she was all alone with no one to watch her or anything. She would have to drive herself home alone. Well, I actually lied about not being able to go, so I had a friend drive me there, so I could drive her home, and I watched it while standing way in the back. I didn't have a seat or ticket for that show. Then when the show was over, I took a bouquet of flowers I bought her and I stood at the exit waiting for her. She was walking out and calls me on my phone to tell me how it went XX. Midway through our conversation, she sees me standing there and just runs at me and starts crying and just being all happy. She still says that was the best thing anyone has ever done for her, and we are still together 3 years later. She is the best thing to ever happen to me. In an effort to woo the girl I was crushing on during my sophomore year of college, I figured out her art locker combination and on her birthday, left a huge Totoro pillow, Red Bull, double stuff Oreos, and a handwritten card, all her favorite things, inside. At the time I was apparently deep in the friend zone according to her best friend. Well, I'm in my junior year now and that girl is now my girlfriend. Congrats on escaping Palcatraz. Sometimes I need to work late on Fridays and my BF has to wait for me. He can only come home for the weekends. I always leave something behind for him to make the wait more pleasant. Playboy magazine, good beer in the fridge, favorite candy, new bath stuff. He's manly as heck and loves its good bubble bath. He always gets a note on the bed saying where to find the little treat. He does similar things. When he gets groceries, he never fails to surprise me with something I didn't even know I wanted, or if I ask him for something, he'll always put as much thought into it as possible. And seriously, that's the best. Someone thinking along and trying to make life better for you. He's manly as heck and loves its good bubble bath. Have an upvote. Got her a ticket to Paris. Couldn't surprise her because she got sent a confirmation email. Oh well. I tickle his balls. Now that's romantic. My so likes to flap one of my boobs around in his hand. I'm a bit more busty than average, and it's so awkward feeling. Not really tickly, but so weird you can't help but laugh. So I respond with tickling his balls, which makes him laugh his butt off. We're a weird couple. One time my girlfriend said she doesn't ever want flowers because they die. I got her a Nokia phone. A solution to that is actual potted plants. My boyfriend has given me 5 now and I love having them around. But I guess a Nokia works too. My so and I are both college students and unemployed at the moment. We're broke. He keeps seeing commercials for Skyfall, the new James Bond movie, and he gets so giddy. He loves anything involving spies. I saved for the last few weeks, getting a little bit of money here, a little there, and finally I was able to take him out to see it. He was so excited when we got there and I told him what we were going to see. Jesus, he is adorable when he's excited. He's done a lot for me. It was my turn to come up with something for us to that he would really enjoy. +1 for being poor and saving for presents. I know that feel all too well. We went shopping, and like a typical woman, she went to the jewelers. While she was just browsing through them she found one that she really liked. I asked her, well, let's get it. She looked at me weird and asked why would I need it. That's when I got down on my knee saying, well, we need an engagement ring, don't we? Happiest day of my life. When I was a child, I had love messages at my grandma's place. Just a little piece of paper with I love you grandma and a little drawing. That's it. Quite simple. I remember she said I was good to be married when she find one of them. Once at the start of a relationship with a girl I was really into, I went on a 2-week holiday across the Atlantic to Boston and NY. My GF's parents were visiting her at the time and so she was staying at a hotel in the airport I was due to come back to, but they left a week before I returned. I ended up changing my flight back to come back a week early and asked her if she could meet a friend of mine at the airport to pick some keys up for him. Then I turned up instead of him when she was expecting me to be in the US for another week. TLDR. Came back a week early from America. Postscript. I didn't tell anyone else I was coming back. This was on the 7th of July 2005 when the public transport system in London was hit by a series of suicide bombs. The tube we were on was stopped as the one in front was blown up and we got off and got on a bus, not knowing what was going on. If I had been minutes earlier I could have been killed and no one would have noticed for a week. That escalated quickly. This happened when my husband and I were dating on our first Valentine's Day. We worked at the same place, but different shifts. I arranged for him to receive a gift every hour for his 12-hour shift, with the help of our co-workers. Most of the gifts were small and all included a note with the theme reasons I love you. Like, one gift was candy and the note was because you are so sweet. One was a Bob Seger CD with the note because you have great taste in music. One was lingerie, for me, with the note because you make me feel vivacious. He loved it. He still talks about that, 15 years later. My GF is having a crap time at work. A couple of weeks ago she was told that, even though she has the experience and qualifications, they weren't going to match her pay to reflect that, even admitting that they would if she was applying for her current job. On that day my best friend contacted me, letting me know she had a spare ticket for Tenacious D the next evening. I gave the ticket to my GF. She had an amazing time. So much so, her morning caffeine dealer commented that it was the happiest she had seen my GF in months. Note to self, I will no longer refer to myself as a barista, but a caffeine dealer. My girlfriend and I only live about 20 minutes away. We hang out about 2 times a week, and call regularly too. Even still, I write her a letter sometimes, complete with pictures and poems and magazine clippings. No matter how often you see or so, a letter is always exciting to get. My boyfriend and I were long distance for a while. His little brother and roommate and I planned for me to go visit him on his birthday. As a surprise, they picked me up from the airport and drove me to his work, and they distracted him at lunch while I sneaked up behind him and asked if the seat next to him was taken. He pooped his pants. It was really cute. We're together now. He surprised me on my birthday with my best friend from high school who I hadn't seen in a long time. I cried like a bee. I can't tell if he actually pooped his pants or if this is a metaphor. When it's raining, he sticks an umbrella in my purse. Men do this. I once filled up my guy's tank when he let take his car to pick up dinner. When he noticed, he said thanks. Haha, what an aunt gift. PSHHH, that crap was expensive. And I put fuel injector cleaner in it too. He had never even heard of the stuff. Rabble rabble rabble, haha. My BF had a rough week and didn't feel like going out to dinner. He just wanted to stay at home and play Black Ops to decompress. I swooped by 7-Eleven and bought him his favorite candy and snacks and beer and put it all in a backpack. About a block away, I texted him, "Friend, liquor package inbound." Put the backpack on the front stoop, did our secret knock on the front door, and booked it to my car. He bragged about that for quite a while. You found the leaf of life. Subscribe and it will bring you immortality. Well, maybe. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video. Or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.